It began with the faintest hum in the back of every human mind. Nobody could pinpoint when, exactly, they first noticed it. Some described it as a subtle vibration, like a distant song they couldn't quite place. Others reported flashes of color behind their eyelids when drifting off to sleep. At first, scientists dismissed these sensations as collective stress responses to life under the ever-watching eye of the Okoro Dominion. After all, Earth had been part of the Dominion for generations. Humanity had grown used to alien rule, with entire families never having known a time before subjugation. The Hume was written off as medical anomaly or myth, yet the Hume persisted, growing in intensity until it was impossible to ignore. Dr. Irene Falco, an exobiologist turned reluctant collaborator with the Okoro, was the first to look deeper into these reports. She pored over brain scans, electromagnetic spectrograms, and the diaries of ordinary citizens who claimed strange visions haunted their dreams. Her lab in New York had the most cutting-edge technology Earth could offer, technology that was strictly governed by Dominion edicts designed to keep the humans safe. Though everyone knew the real purpose was to prevent technological advances that might threaten alien control. Despite the constraints, Dr. Falco's research made a startling discovery. The Hume correlated with a wave of cellular activation in the human brain, something that she had never seen in any life form before. However, each time she tried to present her finding to the Okoro authorities, they brushed her off, even threatened her. The message was clear: stop asking questions. As weeks passed, the Hume intensified across Earth. People reported bursts of energy they couldn't explain. Athletes found they had far more endurance than ever before. Children solved complex robotics puzzles meant for advanced AI. Artists created paintings and sculptures so intricate they seemed to defy logic. Incidents of telekinetic outbursts were whispered about in hushed tones. Some individuals said they could swear they saw faint outlines around other living creatures, almost as if peering at their auras. Rumors swelled like rolling thunder, carrying both hope and dread. On the media streams, Okoro's spokespeople ridiculed and minimized these claims, calling them nothing but fabrications. Yet the videos that circulated on black market networks told a different story. Human beings pushing the limits of the possible in new, extraordinary ways. It wasn't long before the Okoro Dominion took notice, for the Hum now bristled at the edges of their own advanced sensors. They established quarantine zones in major cities. Security checkpoints doubled. Curfews were enacted under the guise of public health precautions. Imperators, alien overseers, famous for their cold, methodical brutality, patrolled the skies in shimmering craft. Anyone reported to display abnormal abilities was taken for examination. The unlucky ones who returned were gaunt and disoriented, as if their very essence had been sapped. The rest were never seen again. Tensions escalated, and fear spread like a contagion. Yet in the seedy underbelly of Earth's battered cities, rebellion brewed. In a secret facility hidden beneath the waves of the Pacific Ocean, a group of scientists and freedom fighters converged. Dr. Falco had vanished from her official lab and resurfaced here with her most trusted colleagues. They knew time was short. Once the Okoro suspected a mass awakening of human potential, they would clamp down even harder, or, worse, decide that humanity was no longer a resource to be exploited, but a threat to be eliminated. Huddled around an ancient vessel hull turned makeshift command center, they reviewed contraband scans Dr. Falco had managed to secure before fleeing. Even the faint readings told a resounding story. Humans were evolving, or possibly remembering, abilities hidden in their genetic code. If nurtured rather than feared, these dormant traits could elevate them beyond anything the galaxy had seen. An unexpected breakthrough came through the quiet determination of a young researcher named Johann Veit, who specialized in neurolinguistic programming. He proposed that the Hume wasn't just a random phenomenon, it was a resonance frequency shared across human consciousness, something that the Dominion's presence had inadvertently triggered. The Okoro had assumed superiority for centuries, bragging about their advanced neural implants and telepathic capabilities, but they never considered that mere humans might share a higher-order connection. The new data revealed that humans not only possessed psionic potential, but that it was latent in almost every individual. The question was not if these powers existed, but when and how they would be fully unleashed. Word spread among the human enclaves faster than the Okoro could contain it. So-called psionic gatherings sprang up in abandoned warehouses and vacated apartment blocks. In these underground assemblies, humans practiced mental exercises, tested their blossoming telepathy, and tinkered with microtech harnesses that amplified their newfound aptitudes. The first time an untrained young woman levitated an empty transport pod, the entire room erupted with cheers and tears. Hope, that most fragile of lights, found fuel anew. This terrified the Dominion forces. Their foothold on Earth had never been gentle, but now it grew desperate and brutal. Checkpoints became militarized zones. Entire city blocks were locked down at random. The Dominion started scanning every street intersection with specialized sensors, attempting to detect the psionic wave that blossomed in Earth's population. Still, the spark of human ingenuity and resilience was not so easily snuffed out. As the hum rose to a crescendo, an event took place that would shift the entire balance of power. The Bloomsday March. It began as a peaceful gathering in the battered streets of Berlin Quadrant, where thousands of humans marched in silent protest despite heavy Dominion presence. Families held up signs calling for freedom from alien oppression. Elders in wheelchairs were accompanied by children wearing homemade sensor-bleaking helmets. Soldiers from hidden rebel factions mingled in plain clothes, prepared for the worst. The Imperators arrived with intimidation on their minds, with massive anti-riot mechs that hissed and clanked like metal beasts. The throng of humans refused to disperse. The Imperators fired stun blasts into the crowd, seeking to quell the demonstration with fear. Instead, something unimaginable occurred. In a flash, energy erupted from hundreds of humans in unison. The neon arcs of Dominion stun blasts froze in midair, suspended by invisible force. Shock swept through both the crowd and the Imperators. Individuals spontaneously discovered their telekinetic might, forging a collective barricade of raw will. Some turned the blast back on the mechs, disabling them with their own weapons. Others focused on healing the wounded, harnessing empathy to knit broken tissue in seconds. A corridor of unearthly light formed around the marchers, safeguarding them from further harm. The Imperators retreated in panic. In that moment, the galaxy's unwavering belief in the Okoro's invincibility faltered, and the humans tasted the first sweet drop of their untapped power. Galactic rumors spread at light speed. In distant corners of the Dominion, other subject species heard hushed tales of Earth's uprising. They scoffed at first. Humans had always been regarded as spindly, short-lived, inventive but undisciplined. They were not known for telepathy or psionic warfare. How, then, had they repelled the Imperators in the streets of Berlin Quadrant? The Okoro Dominion scrambled to manage the narrative, forbidding all mention of the event. But the more they tried to bury the truth, the more it glowed like embers in the night. For the first time in centuries, entire species realized the Dominion was not omnipotent. If humans could do the unfathomable, who knew what else might be possible? Behind the scenes, Earth's resistance movement evolved into a fully fledged rebellion. Engineers worked around the clock to develop enhancements that could augment this emerging neural network humans shared. Makeshift labs fine-tuned devices called mind resonators that boosted mental clarity and magnified telepathic transmissions. Every success story fueled hunger for more knowledge. Veteran soldiers who once fought with conventional weapons now trained in psionic combat techniques. Their strategic exercises utilized illusions, telekinetic force fields, and waves of empathic disruption that could disorient entire squads of Okoro troopers. And it wasn't just the fighters. Healers emerged too, their touch reversing grievous injuries and reviving morale. Some began calling this new breed of human the Awakened. Yet as optimism soared, the cost of conflict reared its head. Dominion crackdowns became systematic and ruthless. Towns suspected of harboring Awakened were bombarded from orbit, leaving desolation where homes once stood. Entire families were abducted, presumably for research, though no one doubted the horrifying experiments that awaited. The rebellion was forced to choose its battles more carefully, often sacrificing strategic positions to save the untrained. In the eastern hemispheres of Earth, farmland burned at the hands of brutish Okoro foot soldiers. Spiraling columns of smoke stained the sky. The Dominion's message was clear: submit or watch your world crumble. In the gloom, Dr. Falco and Johann Veit made another critical discovery. Their studying of the psionic wave unveiled that human potential was not just a random fluke. It appeared to be tied to ancient artifacts buried deep within Earth's crust, relics from a time when human civilization was unrecorded, possibly predating even the Dominion's cosmic expansions. They surmised that these remnants were the legacy of a once great civilization, perhaps ancestors to modern humans who had wielded immense power. The Dominion's presence on Earth had inadvertently triggered these artifacts, reawakening a dormant gene sequence. Their discovery portended that the scales of the galaxy might be about to tilt drastically. A desperate race ensued to unearth these artifacts before the Okoro could destroy them. Brave teams ventured into deep-sea trenches and underground caverns where Dominion forces lurked. In an ancient temple complex off the coast of what was once the Japanese archipelago, the rebellion found a trove of crystal shards, pulsating with the same resonance that hummed within every human skull. Carefully, they extracted them, wrapping them in psychically insulated containers. As soon as they were taken to the main rebellion stronghold, the shards began glowing brighter. They seemed to respond to the presence of so many awakened humans, resonating in sync with the communal mind that was developing. Those who meditated near the crystals spoke of a soothing voice whispering through the corridors of their consciousness, giving them clarity, unity, and strength. When the Dominion learned of these crystals, panic rippled through their command. Abruptly, an entire fleet of warships materialized in Earth's orbit, led by the Imperator Supreme. They demanded unconditional surrender. Humanity and its crystals were to be delivered into Okuro custody, or the planet would be glassed from pole to pole. The rebellion had no illusions about the Dominion's cruelty. They would carry out that threat without hesitation. The might of the fleet dwarfed any of Earth's defenses. Non-combatants braced for the worst, sending tearful messages across radio waves that might not survive the day. Yet, in the rebellion's hidden bases, the newly awakened made a momentous decision. They would not kneel and they would not run. With heartbreak in their eyes, they prepared for what could be humanity's final stand. On the morning the Dominion fleet descended, the entire population of Earth felt a shift in the through this shared empathy. Remote villages and bustling cities connected in a way never before witnessed. Individuals who had never met felt as though they had known each other for a lifetime, their hearts beating in collective unity. From the vantage point of the Dominion warships, Earth glowed on scanning devices like a furnace, radiating an energy signature the aliens had never detected in all their travels. The first wave of Dominion assault craft tore through the skies, unleashing plasma storms that scorched Earth's defenses. Missile silos and protective domes disintegrated under the onslaught. But then, the ground forces of the rebellion directed their collective might toward the heavens. Telekinetic blasts erupted, intercepting the next barrage of plasma mortars, redirecting them into the ocean or back at the attackers. And resonators amplified the power of entire squads, creating shimmering barriers that bent space around them. The Dominion ships were hit with arcs of energy that surged from the planet's surface. Some crafts spun out of control, while others cracked open like eggs dropping from a great height. Shaken but still vast in number, the Dominion's second wave pressed forward, aiming to overwhelm Earth with sheer firepower. This time, small groups of healers and telepaths joined together to generate illusions on a planetary scale, forcing 30 or more battleships to fire upon one another in confusion. The illusions flickered in the atmosphere, forging phantom fleets that danced amid real rebellion pods. Furious at seeing themselves deceived, the Dominion unleashed the Imperator Supreme at the head of their ground invasion. This imposing figure, rumored to be centuries old, was famed for unparalleled psionic abilities. He wore obsidian black armor and carried a staff that pulsed with lethal energy. Landing with an army at his back, he marched into the ruined city where rebellion leaders made their last stand. Dr. Falco and Johann Veit were there, joined by thousands of newly awakened who stared down terror incarnate. The Imperator Supreme advanced, and a deep voice boomed through every mind. "Kneel and live, or stand and face extinction." He struck his staff against the rubble, sending waves of mental force surging. Many humans collapsed under the assault, their thoughts scrambled. Yet a group of advanced scions, their auras crackling with the energy of the crystals, stepped forward. Together they raised hands that glowed with fierce resolve. The Imperator Supreme's next wave of mental devastation collided with the humans' combined shields in a cataclysmic shock wave that shattered windows for miles. Buildings collapsed. Dust filled the air. But when visibility returned, the humans were still standing. Their eyes shone, locked in a brutal psychic stalemate with their ancient foe. For agonizing minutes, the two forces remained locked in battle. Neither side relented, their mental energies clashing in a seething vortex. In that crucible of cosmic conflict, the latent potential within humanity's collective consciousness reached critical mass. The Hume that had haunted sleepers, the resonance that had lifted transport pods, the illusions that had fooled entire fleets, it all coalesced. It wasn't just the awakened who joined in. Every human across the planet, from children in remote farming villages to elders in hidden bunkers, poured forth their will. A kaleidoscope of psychic energy emerged, forging a single tapestry of unstoppable power, as if an ancient key at the heart of Earth's soul had finally turned. The Imperator Supreme felt the weight of billions of minds surge into him, and for the first time in his long reign, he faltered. The staff trembled in his grip. Energy crackled across his armor, scarring it with white-hot fissures. He roared in denial, unleashing all of his centuries-honed telepathy in one final attempt to crush humanity's spirit. But it was too late. The awakened parted the destructive wave like water, reversing it in a brilliant flash of raw power. A cascade of light burst upward into the sky, piercing through the Dominion fleet in orbit, leaving the Imperator Supreme kneeling in astonishment. The once feared warships found their systems disrupted by a massive psionic storm, causing them to scatter or crash into each other. Soldiers dropped their weapons, no longer able to coordinate. Earth's defenders roared, some in triumph, others in relief, as the Dominion armada began a hasty retreat. Smoke and silence followed the departure of the vanquished. The Imperator Supreme, stripped of his staff, was taken into custody. His defeat reverberated through the Dominion's empire. News soon spread that the once subjugated species of Earth had awakened themselves and shattered the yoke of their oppressors. The greatest tyrant of the Dominion had fallen at the hands of a united human mind. Shock waves cascaded through distant star systems. If humans could accomplish the impossible, nothing was certain anymore. Fear gripped the hearts of alien rulers, who had grown complacent for centuries, while oppressed peoples from dozens of planets dared, perhaps for the first time, to dream of freedom. In the aftermath, Earth was a place of both sorrow and elation. Countless lives had been lost. Cities lay in ruins, and the environment bore deep scars. Yet hope had never glowed more vividly. A new era dawned, as small enclaves of survivors worked side by side to rebuild. In public squares still strewn with rubble, humans practiced their newfound gifts openly, lifting broken beams with telekinesis to clear roads, using empathic healing to tend to the injured, or forging illusions to brighten the gloom of battered buildings. Where once stood the statue of an Okoro imperator, a vibrant memorial to the fallen was constructed, infused with crystals that hummed in resonance with every passerby. Across the galaxy, speculation ran wild. Some factions whispered about forging alliances with this newly empowered race, others about launching preemptive strikes to stamp them out before their influence spread further. Spies and diplomats came from far-flung star systems, seeking to understand the truth behind Earth's swirling rumors. The name human now carried a mixture of reverence, fear, and wonder. Overnight, the Dominion's ironclad propaganda had crumbled, replaced by swirling tales of unstoppable telekinesis, planetary-scale illusions, and healing that outpaced even the most advanced alien tech. For their part, humans realized this was only the beginning. They did not hunger for conquest. The burden of war had taught them a grim lesson, yet they understood the galaxy could not be left at the mercy of the Dominion or any other aggressor. Earth began forging coalitions with other oppressed worlds. Shipyards that once served the Okoro were repurposed to build exploration and defense vessels outfitted with advanced psionic capabilities. Teams of awakened ambassadors ventured into the cosmic void, guided by telepathic star charts derived from the artifact crystals. Their mission was to bring hope to those who suffered under tyrannical rule, and to ensure that such oppression would find no safe harbor again. Slowly, Earth rose from the shadow of conquest into a beacon that challenged the galaxy's status quo. Some alien powers balked at the idea of negotiation with these dangerous Earthers, but their fear was tempered by the knowledge of what had happened to the largest invasion fleet in Dominion history. Where brute force once reigned unchallenged, the cosmic stage now contended with a species equal parts mysterious and formidable. In the hearts of humans, the hum still lingered, thrumming with possibility. It was a reminder of their unity, a testament to the unstoppable force that ordinary people could become when bound by empathy, determination, and shared purpose. And so, humanity stood at the threshold of a new age. Their shattered cities became laboratories of innovation, their grief igniting the determination to forge a better tomorrow. The crystals that sang in harmony with human minds guided them, hinting at secrets yet undiscovered. Perhaps there were higher planes of existence to explore, or even greater challenges waiting in the silent darkness between the stars. Yet for the moment, one truth rang clear across the cosmos. The people of Earth had awakened, and they would never again be shackled by fear. As the Dominion licked its wounds and looked upon humanity with dread, the newly empowered Earthlings looked outward with cautious optimism. Beneath the ashen skies, brilliant arcs of energy wove through the wreckage, signs of life and renewal. The lessons learned in battle would not be forgotten. More than warriors, humans had become the guardians of a precious phenomenon, the collective consciousness that had freed them. Their hands, once prone to violence, now thrummed with healing abilities. Their minds, once isolated and scattered, now joined together to form a bulwark of unity. If there were still threats lurking beyond the starfields, they would face them together, the hum of cosmic potential guiding them onward. In the final days of reconstruction, Dr. Falco and Johann Veit led a small party back down into the temple, where they'd found the crystals. They carried the staff of the Imperator Supreme, repurposing its power to serve knowledge rather than oppression. Illuminated by the soft glow of the crystals, they pledged a new covenant, to guard this evolving power so that it would remain a force for liberation. From now on, the echo of ancient civilizations would harmonize with the living, forging a path not marred by conquest, but by understanding. Wherever the future led, humanity no longer stood alone. They were linked in the grand tapestry of existence by bonds no darkness could sever, ready to share that gift with any who sought freedom. Far above, in the quiet reaches of space, Watchers of many species observed these unfolding events. In their secret councils, they debated the wisdom of provoking or allying with Earth. Some chose to remain hidden, trembling at the knowledge that should humanity turn aggressive, no force could easily stand before them. Others dared to hope. They saw in human eyes not the glint of conquest, but the warmth of a people who had fought tyranny and won, not just for themselves, but for the promise that no future generation would suffer what they had. Thus, the galaxy at large beheld the promise of a new epoch, shaped by the unstoppable union of hearts and minds upon a little blue world that had awakened to its destiny. And on that little world, among the rubble and the blossoming crystals, the hum persisted. It was the heartbeat of a civilization birthing something greater than itself. It was the echo of ancient power, rekindled with modern understanding. It was the bond of every mother, father, child, friend, stranger, linked in the luminous moment of shared triumph. Though aliens across vast star clusters trembled at the thought of humankind rising, the humans themselves knew that fear could be overcome. For in unity, they had embraced one another, forging a force more potent than any weapon, the power to heal, to protect, to dream, and to shape a better galaxy for all.